You know, I've seen a lot of stuff come through the doors of my pawn shop. Gold, silver, diamonds, you name it. But every now and then, something truly special shows up. A piece of history you can hold in your hand. That's what I think about when I see a rare Japanese coin. These aren't just old pieces of metal used to buy rice. They are miniature works of art. They tell the story of a nation, of emperors and shoguns, of opening up to the world, and of incredible craftsmanship. Each one has a tale, a journey from the mint to a merchant's purse, and maybe even across an ocean. For a history buff like me, that's the real value. What makes these coins so unique? It's a combination of things. First, you have the history. Japan was isolated for a long time, so their money developed in its own special way. They weren't just round discs like we're used to. You see oval coins, rectangular coins, and coins with square holes in the middle. The designs are also incredible. You might see dragons, flowers, or beautiful calligraphy that tells you the emperor's name and the era it was made. It's a totally different world from American coins like the Morgan dollar or the St. Gaudens double eagle. This uniqueness is what gets collectors really excited. Then there's the rarity. Think about it. For centuries, old coins were often melted down to make new ones. Wars, fires, and earthquakes destroyed countless treasures. So finding a well-preserved coin from the 8th century or a massive gold oban from the 16th century is like finding a needle in a haystack. It's a miracle it even survived. That scarcity is what drives the price up. A coin isn't just worth its weight in gold or silver. It's worth the story it holds and the fact that there might only be a handful of them left in the entire world. That's the kind of thing that makes a collector's heart beat faster. And let's be honest, there's a certain mystique to it. For many Americans, Japan is a land of samurai, geishas, and ancient temples. These coins are tangible artifacts from that world. Holding one is like shaking hands with the past. It connects you to a time of powerful warlords and master craftsmen. It's a physical link to a culture that has fascinated people for generations. So when you look at a Japanese coin, you're not just looking at money. You're looking at a piece of a grand epic story. And in my business, story is everything. It's what separates the junk from the treasure. Before the 8th century, Japan didn't really have its own coins. People traded goods directly. You know, a bag of rice for some fish, or a piece of cloth for a tool. This is called bartering. They also used Chinese coins that trickled in through trade, but there wasn't an official Japanese currency. Then, around the year 708, everything changed. The Japanese imperial court, led by Empress Genmei, decided it was time for Japan to have its own money. This was a huge step. It was about more than just making trade easier. It was about showing that Japan was a strong, unified, and civilized nation, just like Tang Dynasty China. So, they created the first official Japanese coin, the Wado Kaichin. These were small round copper coins with a square hole in the middle. The name Wado Kaichin means something like Japanese copper inaugural currency. The design was heavily inspired by the Chinese Kai Yuan Tongbao coins. That square hole wasn't just for decoration. It made it easy to string the coins together, usually in groups of 100 or 1,000. Imagine carrying your money on a rope instead of in a wallet. For the average person, this was a brand new and strange concept. They had to be encouraged, sometimes even ordered, to use these new metal tokens instead of rice or cloth. The government really wanted people to use these coins. They even offered titles and ranks to people who saved up large amounts of them. It was a big promotional campaign. The copper for these coins was said to come from a huge new deposit discovered in the Musashi province near modern-day Tokyo. The discovery was seen as a very good omen, and the era name was even changed to Wado, which means Japanese copper. This shows how important this new currency was to the national identity. They were proud of their ability to produce their own money from their own resources. It was a declaration of economic independence. However, the story of these first coins wasn't all smooth sailing. The government produced a whole series of coins after the Wado Kaichin, known as the 12 antique coins. But over time, the value of the copper in the coins became worth more than the face value of the coin itself. This led to people melting them down. The government also kept issuing new coins and devaluing the old ones, which made people lose trust in the currency. By the mid-10th century, the Japanese government stopped minting coins altogether. It was a failed experiment, and Japan went back to using barter and imported Chinese coins for the next 600 years. After the last of the 12 antique coins, the Kokosen, failed around the year 958. The imperial government just gave up. It was too much trouble. The coins were unpopular, their value was unstable, and people didn't trust them. So, for the next 6 centuries, Japan entered a period where no official government coins were made. It's a fascinating gap in numismatic history. It's like if the US Mint just shut down for 600 years. The economy didn't stop, of course. People just found other ways to do business. The country largely reverted back to a barter economy, especially in rural areas. Rice was the main standard of value. A warrior's salary, for example, was measured in koku of rice. But for larger transactions, especially among merchants and the wealthy, barter wasn't very practical. You can't exactly carry around tons of rice to buy a new sword or a fancy kimono. So, they turned to something else. Chinese coins. Trade with China was booming, and a flood of high-quality Chinese copper coins, like those from the Song and Ming dynasties, came into Japan. These became the de facto currency. They were reliable, their metal content was consistent, and people trusted them. It's a bit ironic that after trying so hard to create its own money to be like China, Japan ended up just using China's money instead. This created a really interesting situation. The Japanese market was filled with a mishmash of different Chinese coins from different eras. Merchants had to become experts at telling them apart. Some coins were more valued than others. Sometimes people would sort them, creating bags of good coins and bad coins. There were even private mints in Japan that started making imitations of these Chinese coins because the demand was so high. These imitations, called shichusen, were often of lower quality, but they helped keep the economy moving. It was a messy and unregulated system, but it worked. This long period without official coinage had a big impact. It meant that when Japan did start minting its own coins again in the late 16th century, it was almost like starting from scratch. The memory of the old imperial coins was long gone. This is also why those early coins, the Wado Kaichin and the other Kokosen, are so rare today. They had a short circulation life and then were ignored for 600 years. Many were lost, buried, or melted down. Finding one is like finding a fossil from a lost world. It's a direct link to that first, brief experiment with a national currency. The story of Japanese coins gets really exciting in the late 16th century, during a period of civil war. The country was being unified by powerful warlords like Oda Nobunaga and Toyotomi Hideyoshi. These leaders needed money, and lots of it, to pay their armies and run their domains. They couldn't rely on random Chinese coins anymore. They needed a standardized, high-value currency that they could control. This is when we see the birth of some of the most iconic Japanese coins, the oban and the koban. These weren't little copper coins for buying vegetables. These were massive gold coins for the rich and powerful. The oban was the heavyweight champion. It was a huge, hammered oval plate of gold, sometimes weighing as much as 165 grams. That's over 5 troy ounces of gold. It was more of a gold ingot than a coin for spending. Obans were often given as rewards from a warlord to his most loyal samurai, or used in massive transactions between feudal lords. Each one was hand-brushed with black ink, bearing the signature of the master of the gold mint, the Goto family. This signature was a guarantee of its weight and purity. Holding an oban is an incredible feeling. It's a solid slab of wealth and power from feudal Japan. The little brother to the oban was the koban. It was also an oval-shaped gold coin, but much smaller, typically valued at 1 ryo, which was a unit of account. This was the workhorse gold coin of the era. While still a high-value coin, it was used more frequently in commerce by wealthy merchants and samurai. Like the oban, it was hammered and stamped with marks to guarantee its value. The design is simple but beautiful, with a textured surface that was meant to deter clipping, which is when people would shave off a little bit of gold from the edges. These coins were the foundation of the new monetary system. What's amazing to me is that these weren't made in a modern mint with giant machines. They were made by hand. Craftsmen would hammer out the gold, cut it to the right shape, and then stamp it with official seals. This means that no two koban or oban are exactly alike. Each one has its own character, its own little imperfections. That's part of their charm. These coins represent a pivotal moment in Japanese history, the transition from a chaotic medieval period to a unified, centrally controlled state. They are symbols of immense wealth and the consolidation of power. When Tokugawa Ieyasu won the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600 and established his shogunate, he brought an end to the centuries of civil war. He created a peaceful and stable Japan that would last for over 250 years, a period we call the Edo period. A key part of his strategy was taking control of the country's money. He established a unified monetary system for all of Japan. He created official mints, called kinza for gold and ginza for silver, in major cities like Edo, which is modern Tokyo, and Kyoto. The famous Ginza district in Tokyo today actually gets its name from the silver mint that was once located there. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, the minting of Oban and Koban gold coins became standardized. The designs and weights were strictly controlled. They also created a full system of currency. For smaller transactions, they minted silver and copper coins. There was the shogin, a long sausage-shaped silver ingot that was traded by weight, and the mamitajin, a small bean-shaped silver coin. For everyday people, the most common coin was the copper or brass kane tsuho. This was a round coin with a square hole, just like the ancient wado kaichin, and it was used for everything from buying food to paying for a bath. This system, called the trimetallic system, gold, silver, and copper, was, honestly, very complex. The exchange rates between the different metals could fluctuate depending on the region. In the east, around Edo, the gold koban was the standard. In the west, around Osaka, the commercial hub, the silver chogin was preferred. This could make doing business across the country a bit tricky. A merchant from Osaka might have to exchange his silver for gold when he got to Edo. It was like having different currencies within the same country, something an American from that time would probably find very strange. Over the 250 years of the Edo period, the government sometimes ran into financial trouble. When they needed more money, they would often debase the currency. This means they would issue new koban coins that had the same face value but contained less gold. They would mix in more silver. You can actually see the difference. Early koban from the Keicho era, around 1601, have a rich deep yellow color. Later, koban from the Bunsei era, around 1818, are much paler, almost greenish yellow, because of the higher silver content. For collectors, these variations are crucial. They tell a story about the economic health of the shogunate at that time. In 1868, the world of the samurai and the Tokugawa shogunate came to a dramatic end. The Meiji Restoration brought the emperor back to power and set Japan on a path of rapid modernization. The new government wanted Japan to catch up with the Western powers, and a big part of that was creating a modern Western-style currency. The old complicated system of koban, chogin, and kanai tsuho just had to go. So, in 1871, Japan adopted a new currency, the yen. The word yen simply means round object, and that name was chosen to distinguish the new coins from the old oval and rectangular ones. This was honestly a total revolution in Japanese money. The Meiji government built a modern, steam-powered mint in Osaka, using equipment imported all the way from Great Britain. They started producing beautiful machine-struck coins that looked very similar to European and American coins of the time. They made gold coins in denominations of 1, 2, 5, 10, and 20 yen. They also made silver coins, including the famous Silver Dragon 1 yen coin, which was used for foreign trade. For smaller change, there were copper coins as well. This new system was simple, decimal-based. 1 yen equals 100 sen, and rooted in a gold standard. The designs of these new Meiji coins are honestly spectacular. They blend Western technology with Japanese artistry. The gold coins feature the imperial Polonia crest on one side and a magnificent dragon on the other. The dragon was a powerful symbol of the emperor and of Japan itself. These coins were not just for spending. They were a message to the world. They said that Japan was a modern, powerful nation with a stable economy and a rich culture. They became a source of immense national pride. For collectors, Meiji-era gold coins are among the most beautiful and desirable coins ever minted. Now, the transition wasn't always easy. For a while, the old Tokugawa coins, the koban, were still allowed to circulate alongside the new yen at a fixed exchange rate. Eventually, the government recalled all the old coins and melted them down to make the new ones. This is actually another reason why so many of the old samurai-era coins are so rare today. The Meiji government was literally melting down the past to forge the future. The adoption of the yen and these new coins marked the final step in Japan's transformation from an isolated feudal society into a major player on the world stage. In the world of coin collecting, there are coins, and then there are the holy grails. The ones that are so rare, they're almost legendary. Japan has its fair share of these numismatic ghosts. At the top of the list for many collectors is the Hishi Oban, also known as the Tensho Oban. This was one of the very first Oban coins, minted under the orders of the great unifier Toyotomi Hideyoshi in the late 16th century. It's a massive plate of gold, but what makes it unique is its Hishigata, or diamond-shaped stamps. It is believed that only 6 of these are known to exist today, making it one of the rarest coins on the planet. Another incredible rarity is the 1870 Meiji Gold 20 yen coin. When the new Meiji government started making modern coins, they experimented with designs. The very first pattern for the 20 yen gold coin was slightly different from the one they finally decided on. Very few of these pattern coins were ever struck, and even fewer have survived. Finding one is the dream of any serious collector of Japanese coins. There's a story that one of these was found in a European collection, misidentified as a Chinese coin for decades before an expert realized what it truly was. That's the kind of discovery that makes this hobby so thrilling. Then there are coins that are rare because of a mistake. We call these error coins. One famous example is a type of Kane Tsuho coin from the Edo period. Millions of these copper coins were made, but on a very small number of them. The character for Tsu in Tsuho is written in a slightly different way. This tiny variation, probably the result of a single engraver's mistake, makes that specific coin hundreds of times more valuable than a normal one. It's the kind of detail that only a dedicated specialist would notice, but it makes all the difference in value. It's a treasure hunt on a microscopic level. The stories behind how these coins are found are sometimes as interesting as the coins themselves. Hoards of old coins are sometimes discovered buried in the ground, hidden in a clay pot centuries ago by a merchant or a samurai who never returned for them. One famous hoard of Wado Kaichin coins was found under a temple floor during renovations. These discoveries are incredibly important because they give us a snapshot of what coins were being used at a specific time. Every rare coin has a story, a journey of survival against the odds, making it a true witness to history. Collecting Japanese coins used to be a niche hobby, mostly confined to Japan itself. But in the last few decades, it has exploded into a global passion. Collectors from the United States, Europe, and all over Asia are now competing to own these beautiful pieces of history. The internet has played a huge role in this. It's easier than ever to see what's available, learn about the different types of coins, and buy from dealers and auctions around the world. What was once a very closed-off market is now open to everyone. This increased demand has also caused prices for the best coins to skyrocket. So how are these coins valued today? It's a lot like how we value American coins. The first thing is rarity. How many are known to exist? The fewer there are, the higher the price. The second is condition. A coin that looks like it just came from the mint, with sharp details and no damage, is worth far more than one that is worn, scratched, or cleaned. This is why professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have become so important. They authenticate the coin and grade its condition on a 70-point scale, then seal it in a protective plastic holder. This gives buyers confidence and makes the market more transparent. For American collectors, there are a few surprising facts. For example, the date on a Japanese coin isn't written like 1875. It's based on the reign of the emperor. So, a coin might be dated Meiji Year 8, which you then have to calculate to get the Western date. Also, the direction of the writing and the style of the numbers can be very different. It takes some getting used to, but learning to read these coins is part of the fun. It's like learning to decode a secret message from the past. It adds another layer of depth to the hobby that you don't always get with US coins. The best place to find these coins is through major auction houses that specialize in world coins. Companies like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers Galleries often have dedicated sections for Japanese numismatics in their big sales. You can also find them at major coin shows or through specialized dealers. My advice is always the same: buy the book before you buy the coin. Do your research. Learn about what you're buying. And if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. There are fakes out there. But with a little knowledge, you can build an amazing collection that is both a great investment and a fascinating window into another culture. So at the end of the day, why should we care about these little pieces of metal? It's because they are more than just money. They are primary source documents. An archaeologist can learn about an ancient society from its pottery shards, and a historian can learn just as much from its coins. A single koban tells you about the Edo period's economy, its metallurgy, its art, and the power of the shogun. A Meiji dragon yen tells you about Japan's ambition and its rapid embrace of the modern world. These coins are a physical timeline of an entire nation's journey. They also represent incredible human artistry and craftsmanship. Think about the engravers who carved the dies for these coins by hand, centuries before computers or lasers. Think about the mint workers hammering out gold plates one by one. The level of detail on a Meiji gold coin, or the elegant calligraphy on an oban, is simply breathtaking. These were not just currency. They were works of art commissioned by emperors and shoguns. They were meant to project an image of power and sophistication, and they still do today. They are a testament to the skill of artisans who are long gone but whose work lives on. For collectors, these coins offer a connection to the past that is personal and tangible. When you hold a 300-year-old Kane Tsuho coin, you can't help but wonder who held it before you. Was it a samurai paying for a meal? A merchant buying silks? A farmer paying his taxes? The coin has passed through countless hands and witnessed centuries of history. That connection is a powerful thing. It makes history feel real and immediate. It's a hobby that teaches you about economics, art, politics, and culture all at once. It's a journey through time that you can hold in the palm of your hand. Ultimately, the story of Japanese coins is a story of Japan itself. Its periods of isolation and its moments of dramatic opening, its unique artistic traditions, and its ability to adapt and innovate. These coins are a legacy in metal, a durable record of a fascinating history. Whether you're a serious collector with $1 million budget or just someone who is curious about the past, they have a story to tell. And that's something I can appreciate. Because in my business, and in life, it's the story that gives an object its true, lasting value. And these coins have one of the best stories around.